Hello everybody, welcome once again to This Audio is Visual, a podcast and platform where we talk to people working broadly in the image making landscape. Today we have an exciting guest who's an archivist who's joining us to talk about the practice of archiving. So I'm going to read a bit of your bio to get us into the groove. We're chatting to Zandile Myeka, who's an archivist at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Zandile is a dedicated professional in the field of archives, information and knowledge management, currently serving as the metadata and photographic archivist at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Zandile was born and raised in Zola, Soweto, and has developed a strong passion for preserving and sharing people's stories from an early age. She is a fellow at the Institute of Advanced Studies at Loughborough University in the United Kingdom. She holds a bachelor's degree in public management and governance from the University of Johannesburg. She also has an honors degree in information and knowledge management and a higher certificate in archives and records management from the University of South Africa. She is pursuing a Master's of Philosophy, an MPhil degree in digital curation at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Siphokazi, for a lovely introduction.
Yeah, so I think, so in my earliest understandings of like archiving work, for me, like at home at least, we used to archive through a photo album or through having all of our awards, we all unit. So like archiving is sort of like a discipline and a practice is something that I come to understand quite later. Share with us sort of your earliest understandings of archiving for you before you started being an archivist.
Yeah, you're taking me back because I mean, other people don't take it that seriously. Yeah. I know people who archive under their mattresses, you know, they just hoist stuff under the mattress and then that's fine. But yeah, so I used to have a very strong passion for, you know, keeping information safe, especially for my family, for myself and friends. So whenever we have family gatherings, whenever we have parties and you know, just a normal day, when someone is doing something crazy, I'll just take a photo of them and put it safe somewhere for, you know, a later use. So it's always been embedded in me as a person. So I think it's very important, you know, as you mentioned, Uguti, there's photo albums. I have probably 3 or 4. Okay. But now it's not safe because it can, you know, get watery or damaged or lost or stolen and stuff like that. But you need to digitize it. Nowadays, there's digital storages. You can just scan, go in the cloud storage. There's Google Drive and all those platforms. So I think it's very important that even if you do have the physical archive, please make sure that it's digitized so that you can have like backup copies for later use for sure.
Mm-hmm. So we'll come back to that. I just want to ground us a little bit in terms of where we are. Talk to us about the work that you do at the Nelson Mandela Foundation and where we are right now is this Center for Memory. When was it established and what is some of the work that you guys do here?
So here you are at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. I know it causes a lot of confusion. Yeah. What is the foundation? What is the Sense of Memory? What is the Children's Hospital? What is, you know? So yes, you are at the Nelson Mandela Foundation and the Nelson Mandela Sense of Memory is at the Nelson Mandela Foundation, to make that clear. Right. So the foundation was established by Nelson Mandela in 1999 when he retired as president of the country. And then later on in 2004, that's when the Sense of Memory was established. Okay. So we archive Madiba's collections as a sense of memory. We safeguard his legacy in terms of, you know, his personal papers from prison letters, his archival collections. We have photographs of Madiba. We have his handwritten notes and notebooks. It's actually a vast majority of archival materials. It's artifacts, his awards and gifts. We have gifted framed photographs from different formats, you know, paintings, drawings, sculptures, statues, statuettes. The list is endless. Yeah. So we also have his speeches. When Madiba addresses, you know, a speech in an international stage, we also have a database with all those speeches. We have, yeah, it's actually a vast majority of Madiba's archival collections that we make sure that it's preserved, probably taken care of, protected against misuse. I mean, there's a lot of that happening. Yeah, we do quite a lot of, work ensuring that Madiba's legacy lives on.
Correct.
And a lot of work under using the archive for social justice.
And just in terms of the Center for Memory, or just broadly the foundation itself, how can the public sort of interact with this space?
Ooh, I love that question because we exist for the public. We don't exist for ourselves. The work that we do is not for ourselves, but it's for the general public. And I mean everybody. We always work very hard to be as inclusive as we can. We have the exhibition space, we have temporary exhibition space at the foundation, and the permanent exhibition space. So we welcome the public to please come and visit the foundation to learn more about Madiba's legacy, interact with our work, the exhibitions, the temporary exhibition space. So the temporary exhibition space is temporary, as I say it. So you might come here seeing a different exhibition about a different socio-economic issue, addressing a socio-economic issue, of some sort, probably gender-based violence, the struggle, apartheid struggle. So it changes over time. That's why we say it's temporary, but it's inspired by social justice issues.
I see.
And then we have the permanent exhibition space. That's permanent. It's like a mini museum. I'd like to call it a mini museum because it also features, like right? Yeah. It also has Madiba's post-presidential office, where Madiba used to come to this premises to do work in his office. So the office is as it was when Madiba was using it. Lovely.
It's fantastic. It's such a daunting space actually to be in the Madiba's office, that is, and you realize that all the sort of decision making in terms of making the country what it is today was sort of decided there. So I think everyone should come and see it.
Yes, because it's beautiful. You enter the space, you see beautifully curated photographs of people who used to come to the office to visit Madiba. I'm mentioning sportsmen and women, international statesmen and women. So it gives you that feeling of how it was when Madiba was still using it. The chair is still the same, the carpets, everything that Madiba used to use is still there as it was when he was using it.
So you've spoken about the permanent exhibition that you guys have, as well as the temporary exhibitions you have that speak to different thematic areas around social justice. I have a keen interest in some of Peter Magobane's work that you guys have shown here. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe the current exhibition? So
we once had launched one of Peter Magobane's work. I like to call him Tate Magobane. So we once had one of his, actually various of his exhibitions here at the foundation between the states of emergency. Yeah, I remember I was working for the foundation then. It was a beautifully curated exhibition that documented the work of not only him, but also other photojournalist activists of the time that documented the apartheid, the Soweto uprising, everything that has to do with apartheid. And it has done quite very well in addressing those issues, especially for, the Gen Zs and, the post-apartheid citizens that don't really know apartheid or haven't experienced it. So I think it did very well in addressing all those issues.
And can you talk to me a little bit about the Born Free exhibition that's currently in your temporary exhibit space?
Yes. As I speak, we have a Born Free exhibition. We call it the Generation of Hope exhibition. It is also beautifully curated, and it's about issues, that are faced by the born frees, those who were born post-apartheid. It poses a very critical question. It's very important. Are they really free? Are they really free? Because we say they are born frees. Everyone's like, you are born frees, Gen Zs and all that. But truthfully and honestly speaking, they are not. We know what's happening around the country, unemployment, GPV, drugs, corruption. It's at the top level, but it's affecting, citizens at the bottom level. So it's actually all things socio-economic issues or social issues or social injustices that are faced by youth today.
Okay. So I want us to shift a little bit to now the work. And earlier we were talking about how we grew up in homes where archival practices were happening in its own ways. So let's say, you know, I'm obsessed. So Peter Magubane's work is donated to the Nelson Mandela Foundation. That work lands today. What do you do as an archivist?
Yeah, first of all, I get excited. I mean, it's like getting new clothes for Christmas. As an archivist, getting a new collection makes me be all over the place. Yes, because as much as we have to preserve for future generations and, you know, to make the difference, makes me happy. And then going to the formals, there is a process that needs to be undertaken for the work to be done and for the work to be done successfully. Yeah. So it takes at least 6 stages of that process. We call those, the first one is accession. Upon receipt, I need to accession the collection. Okay. Accessioning it means I must formally register it to the archive. Okay. Create a formal entry that details the information of the collection. So it's about the donor information, who donated it, if it's a donation, who deposited it, who transferred it for permanent custodianship, the rights, you know, information. If it's donated to us, how are we supposed to use it and how are we not supposed to use it? Must you commercialize it? Are we selling it? Or it's only for educational purposes? Because it's in our custody or donated to us, it doesn't mean that we can do whatever we want about it. Yes. So we are the Mandela Foundation, and we don't own a vast majority of Madiba's archive.
Right.
Right? So yeah, that entire process, that's there. Yeah. Accessioning it and, you know, recording all that information so that we are safe in terms of copyright, intellectual property. Our researchers know how to use it and how not to use it, and us how to use it and how not to use it. And then after that, we do the appraisal process. So appraising it is actually identifying the value of the collection. Okay. So
in monetary form.
So the archival value can be monetary, can be legal, can be historical. You know, it can be so it varies. So other collections, historical, you know, photographs of apartheid, Renaissance, or the states of emergency and all that. So it depends on the value. And other collections don't really need to be preserved for long-term access and use. You know, if we get a statuette of Madiba, we just, you know, preserve it physically, we digitize it, and then it doesn't really need that. We need to really preserve it for long-term access in a digital repository. Right. So it really depends on the collection, if the value is there, and we call it an archival value. Yeah, and if something is in a public domain, I mean, everyone have access to it. It's a news article that Mira 24 has, that UNISA has, that My Way Archive has. There's no need to really preserve it for long-term access and, you know, preservation, because it's already of public knowledge. It can be accessed anywhere and by anyone. Really depends. And then after that, we do a process. Okay, after appraisal, we must make sure that the collection is properly arranged and described. Okay. Right? And then before we arrange it and describe it, we must make sure that it's organized, cleaned. If it's clean and organized, and then we start by the arrangement and description process. So you can't just take things and, you know, put in the strong room or in the storage, because now it's a collection that we've received. We need to make sure that it's clean. We need to make sure that there's metadata that we create. Metadata is information about information. Okay. So you need to make sure that it is described. If it's a box, what is in the box? If it's photos, videos, you make sure that videos are stored accordingly, photos are stored accordingly. Description is very important. Metadata is very important, because if you're looking for something, how are you going to find it if it's not labeled, if it has no identifier? How are you going to even use a collection that you don't know where it comes from? So we call that the archival principle, that is called respect the fonts. Very important, knowing the provenance as well as the original order of the collection. And then Other processes follow after that. There's preservation. Obviously, there's physical preservation and digital preservation. If the collection needs to be digitized, we do that because now it's sorted, arranged, and all those processes are done. So now that it's in our custody, we must make sure that we have a safe place, physical place, like a vault.
Yeah.
Other people call it a strong room.
Right.
So we must have that, humidity, temperature control, pest control, all those things must be ticked, that it's safe to be stored there.
Yeah.
And then we also have the digital preservation part, physical and digital preservation. So that's where you need to have a software for digital cataloging and long-term preservation. In our instance, we use Atom and Archive-Metica, but I won't dwell much on that.
As the softwares.
As the softwares that help our researchers to access our collections digitally. After preservation, then there's access to the public.
So I'm sitting thinking about this entire process. How many people are working on this entire archival process? How many days does this take?
I think I'll need to tap myself on the shoulder for this one, because the work that we do is a lot, and it's big, when you're looking at it outside in, from a distance. Because sometimes I put myself in the shoes of a researcher at home, on a normal Sunday, and like, let me see what these guys are having there.
Okay.
Pop into our online archive or our website and see what's happening. Pretend as though I'm a researcher.
Right.
So I see we've done a lot of work, amazing work, and we are also used as a benchmark institutions by other like-minded institutions in terms of how we archive, how we manage our collections. So all that work takes a team of 4 people. Okay. Only 4. So we have the head of archive and research. We have the digital preservation archivist, which is myself, because I do metadata, I do photographs and all that. We have an audiovisual archivist who also digitizes and scans. We have a researcher. So that's the team of 4 for this beautiful work.
And I'm going to check now if the team also wants to jump in on some questions. Yeah.
So, Zandile, like you see this process that you just described from Mandela Foundation. I'm a photographer. So how, if you say maybe you're in a class, you're teaching a class now on how photographers in particular can archive their work in the digital age. Like sort of, just off the top, how would you sort of create a system or advise a structure? What type of softwares should we have in order to put on metadata and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, because even though I don't go out in the field, and take photographs, but it's important to also understand the fundamental principles or elements, in photography, because when you go out there and take photos and bring them to me as an archivist to archive it, if the quality, in terms of the size, the format is not proper, because it must be at least 300 dpi or at least 400, not less than that, so that we can digitally preserve it for long-term access and use. If it's a thumbnail or something that's, that can be reproduced for any, film or prospectus or a book, because we get a lot of requests regarding that. So it's very important when you go in the field and take those photographs, make sure that you have, boxes to tick in terms of format, the size, the quality, other photos come with red eyes, when there's events, and then we want to use that, we can't even see if it's you, so you must make sure that when you take photographs, people's faces show properly, avoid the red eyes, quality in terms of the size, the format, don't send them via WhatsApp because it compresses the size, it shrinks it into being the smaller, the smaller format. So those are the very important things to consider. And also sending them to the archive digitally. You must use at least WeTransfer because it's open source. I highly recommend it. You don't have to stress about buying space or something, to use for you to share those photographs so that they come out, the exact quality as you are taking them. There was someone posted something on LinkedIn. I remember we were talking about it last week, that there's a clause that they removed in terms of cookies and what you send there. So there's a clause that they removed and updated it. So now it's safer because they're not using your information without your knowledge and all that. So yeah, now we are safe. I was also concerned because I like it, man. I mean, it's free and it's quick and it's easy. You know, even size, they give you a lot of space. And yeah, so I think they've, I'm not sure, but we had a discussion with colleagues on LinkedIn about it. And someone posted a screenshot that, no guys, and I think they are from WeTransfer, the person who posted, no, we've removed this, and yeah. Metadata, we do it manually, so we call that process cataloging. So as an archivist, it's very important that I also have researcher skills, because sometimes collections come as orphans, sometimes collections come, you know, without any description or metadata. So it's a skill that I must embed in my work as a professional, because I need to do further research, because the metadata is mandatory. Right. It's very important. So metadata is done manually. We are exploring ways to do it using AI. Oh, excuse me, because the collections, we're getting a lot. Yeah. And in terms of human resource, it's only a few of us. And it would be very nice, you know, to use AI as other kids in the block who are using AI. Yeah. But it's tricky because AI is not made in South Africa. You know, it's a colonial kind of, you know, initiative. So is it tricky to use AI in the archival space? It's tricky to use AI in an archival space where there are indigenous archival collections, indigenous cultures, you know, indigenous names, surnames, indigenous, all things indigenous, you know.
All things non-Western. Yeah.
All things non-Western. For instance, when I use my phone to send you a text, I'll say hi, Nelisiwe, or hi, Pilisiwe, or hi. It will be, no, that's an error. No, this is Philip, it's not Pilisiwe. Something like, imagine for an archival, you know, material where Madiba had written with his handwriting, dear Makaziwe Mandela, and then it's like, it's not Makaziwe, it's making reading fun. You know, it's not Makaziwe Mandela or something like that. So it's very tricky. I know colleagues are working, AI colleagues are working on, you know, figuring it out or solving it. But yeah, it's for me personally, I think it's going to be a very long road.
Yeah, that's so interesting because we don't talk about this, the ways in which AI sort of erases our identities. Oftentimes we talk about how AI is stealing the knowledge, but we're like, it's also erasing us. And the thing about AI that people always encourage is that it's going to keep up to us. But what you're flagging is to say, in order for it to keep up to us, it has to erase some of our identities.
Yeah. So we definitely need to work along with the AI. We can't just say AI do this for us or AI do that. It's us and AI. It's not AI or it's not us, because I mean everyone is moving to the digital world. We can't be like, we'll do it ourselves, we are fine. No, it's us and AI. So it's a long way to go.
Wandile?
I wanted to ask just about donating work. Okay. One, who can donate work, and what is your criteria on the work that you guys take in?
Okay, so as the Nelson Mandela Foundation, anyone is open to donate work, but remember, we specialize in the life and times of Nelson Mandela, his legacy. So please, it has to be, you know, in line with Nelson Mandela's life and times. I can't come and donate, you know, my archival materials when I was still a model in crèche, because I was very pretty, you know, and I think I'm still pretty even now, you know, and so it has to be in line with Madiba's life and times, you know, because we also have archives of associated people, because it wasn't Madiba alone during the struggle. So when we say Madiba's life and times, Madiba with associated people, Mamwini, you know, you can mention, you know, the photographers, Tate Peter, associated people entirely, everyone who contributed to the struggle.
So it can look different, but it has to have a link.
Historical linkage to Madiba, definitely.
I still archive the old way. And I mean, I've got a Google Drive. But I still archive the old way because I like to touch things and feel them and live with them. A lot of what archives do is, a lot of archives are objects or images. They're lifeless, right? How do you sort of feel about working in a field where you're working with these lifeless things, but they also are people's lives in some way. It's not living, but it's living. How do you sort of connect with, how do you make your work sort of feel like human work, although you're not working with like human interactions?
Sure, that's a very interesting one, and it makes me laugh because even though archives, seem to be static, or seem to be you're on your desk, it's you on your computer, it's you and these old files, or it's not that really. I mean, archival work have an immense emotional, connection in terms of you and those papers, I mean, for instance, I got to know more about Nelson Mandela as a man, apart from him as a president, because I grew up seeing him in the news with his white hair as a president, Amanda, like, that guy, that Mandela,
our black president.
that Mandela, But then working at the archive, I would laugh alone when processing, papers, when I see Madiba saying something to someone. I'm like, okay, Madiba said that, and it's stuff that is not in the textbooks. It's stuff that you won't find in the library anyway. It's in the archive. So there's a huge emotional connection and reaction that I get while working in the archive. And so seeing the photos, I mean, for instance, the photos, there's a photograph, one photo can tell you like a page huge story, just one photograph. So, I mean, that's also a human touch because it takes you to that event. Yeah. You were not there, but by just, engaging with the photo, you get to be in the space and imagine things as it shows.
You travel through time, but you also hold time because, you also hold time for us. Exactly. So I have young nephews and nieces. They're on TikTok. They are archiving.
Gen Zs.
What are your opinions on social media as a form of archiving space, if you like?
Yeah, man. Archival work, archival practice doesn't have to be, institutionalized only, because it also happens in the comfort of your home, comfort of your phone, comfort of everywhere. We all archive. I mean, taking a photo and storing it in your storage with your phone, that's archiving. So, social media, though, it's different because, as I mentioned earlier, we have, processes and all that, but it's different when it gets to that because you don't know that what you just posted can be accessible tomorrow. Right. Whereas we ensure that what we archive here can be accessible for future generations. Yeah. And safety concerns. I mean, social media, we don't pay for safety. Whatever you post there, anyone can use it however they want, unless if you can afford lawyers to sue them, but good luck. But here we safeguard the collections. We have processes and procedures, to make sure that they are not misused for any other, unintended purposes.
And you're also able to curate the type of conversations we should be having about the archives. That's true. We know you work at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Fantastic. Zandi is a fantastic part of your staff. Alive or not alive, whose archive would you want to work on? Or do you desire working on? Or what kind of archive? So it doesn't have to be a person's archive, but...
Ooh. Okay, so in terms of entertainment, I would like to archive Anita Baker's archive because I'm a huge fan of her music, her lifetime, achievements, and how she began singing and and all that. In terms of the diplomatics, definitely Ntate Obama.
Okay.
I won't dwell much on that, but his archive.
It's very interesting that you're flagging Anita Baker because Andy's work is also at the intersection of sound and image.
Nice.
So that would be very interesting in terms of how sort of that could look like. Yeah, so okay. So we're putting it into the universe for Obama, but I'm rooting for Anita Baker too.
Please.
I'd love to see that.
She sees this. My sister.
People who have the archive,
Please hook me up.
Zandi's ready to archive her work.
Yes.
So
free of charge.
No, not free of charge. Oh.
Don't do that.
Okay, scratch, cut. You know, being in an NGO field.
Sector.
Oh.
Pay archivists.
Hashtag pay archivists, yeah.
Aside from paying archivists in the future, what is the future of archives? Like, what do you foresee? We spoke about AI. What else do you?
Yo. That question stresses me out. The future of archives, especially in the era of misinformation. The future of archives, especially in the era of artificial intelligence. The future of archives, in the era of fake news and social media, and how fast things travel. As soon as you post it on TikTok, you have 2,000 views within a few seconds. I think we are still going to work and sweat, to safeguard our collective memories, our collective history, our collective cultural, materials. It needs a lot of us to work together, because as much as we are excited about the 5th industrial revolution, that now there's a 6th, we definitely need to work together to make sure that there is safe use of AI, safe use of all the technologies, and always emphasize to the youth specifically to always visit the archive, whether for research, whether for their own personal use, because it's evidence. It is evidence of the past. I mean, for instance, we have this narrative of Madiba being a sellout, of Madiba who died in prison, I don't know when, of Madiba this, Madiba that. Someone said, I've never seen Madiba speaking Xhosa anywhere. I'm like, oh, come to the archive. I went to the archive and pulled an audio-visual of Madiba speaking in Xhosa. And they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know. So that's the future of archive. Archives are very important, but it's getting tricky now that these technologies are advancing. You can just use anyone's voice as though they've said something, even if they haven't. But archival practice is very important in those instances. You can always go back and verify, before actually going out there and making a statement.
True.
Thank you.
Yeah, so maybe just to close it, what's your favorite item that is sitting in the archives right now that you think we are not interacting enough with?
Okay.
And if anyone comes to the Center of Memory, there's an old Telkom telephone that I am extremely obsessed with. Reminds me of just everything in my childhood.
Hey, that telephone, the R1. If you had a R1, you can have a conversation with someone for at least about 15 minutes. Things changed. So my favorite one is a Kenna coffee. So that's it seems rusty now. It used to be Madiba's favorite coffee when he was in Victor Feste. After his Robben Island time, he was transferred to a Victor Feste where he stayed. And then after his release. So the can was used by Untate Jack. He used to be Madiba's prison warder. Okay. And then this other day, Madiba was craving like bread, the Xhosa bread, the one that is made home. Sasekaya, So Madiba was craving it. So Madiba was craving that bread, and then Jack was like, I say no more. But there was no pan, there was no, all those equipment. And then he used the can to bake the bread for Madiba. Madiba was like, from the coffee can. And then it turned out to be yummy and nice, and Madiba loved it. It's here at the foundation, the can. Please do come and sit, because it's not on display in the exhibitions. It's kept safely, because it has this, emotional value with Madiba's life and times, which again sparks the archival value, of how do we identify, whether something needs to be archival or something is, So I would one day like to write about that kind of archival value, because it's not written about, a lot by academics. So please don't steal my idea.
Thank you so much, Zandile, for talking to us today.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap.
Great. That's very nice. Are we done?